Run us
Good morning,
through
Alicia.
the sense you're making of the market activity at the moment. The NSE losing some ground yesterday after pretty strong gains over the past few sessions.
Yeah, thank you, Alicia. Good morning. The NSE yesterday lost approximately 1%. That pressure, obviously, as is a result of some profit taking by speculative investors. However, the strength, overall strength of the market, that's a bullish we've seen in the past week and a half, is expected to largely continue on maybe not on such a bullish trend, going forward, but the momentum seems to be on the positive side.
Well, no surprises that we've still got banks in focus. We heard yesterday, of course, that Wema Bank has applied for a regional bank license and won approval to raise 7.5 billion naira, that's $50 million, to meet minimum capital requirements. Market reaction to that news, because that share price losing ground in yesterday's session.
I think, relative to some of its peers, the expectation is, okay, well, should it get a regional banking license, it means it's going to be restricted to some 12 to 13 states in the country. Its geographic footprint may not necessarily predispose it to being as profitable as some of the other stocks maybe, but that is largely neither here nor there, because we think whatever happens, the situation remains about the profitability of the individual bank as against looking at its profitability relative to the group. I think for Wema Bank, the focus right now is first of all getting the bank in a position where it is in a much stronger position to play a continuous role in the Nigerian financial services space.
Yeah. Well, Stefan, I mean, obviously we've got Wema Bank looking to raise this capital through a special share placement. I mean, what uptake are you anticipating here? Do you see investors buying into the turnaround story, or is it still looking pretty premature?
I think it's going to come down to valuation, Alicia. At the end of the day, these banks need to be bailed out and recapitalized, but they also, I would think Wema Bank is probably taking the first step, which is become a regional bank, stop these aspirations of being a national bank, not being able to compete, and try and be more nimble in your approach. I think the market is going to look at it from a valuation perspective. If it's interesting, they will definitely go in. But at the moment, I think it's a wave that you're going to see across a lot of the banks, where you have to sort of choose what your game is, and the universal banking model being gone, you have to become more nimble.
From a foreign investor perspective, what's your view on the kind of delays we're seeing in AMCON being set up, because many of these banks relying on that structure coming to the fore sooner rather than later?
I think the frustration is felt by all. I think CBN is trying its best to get the process going and get the legislation in place and the management going, but obviously I think it takes much more time than one thought at the very beginning. We think that by the end of the year, the whole process should be in place, and AMCON should be picking up assets. But obviously, it's almost a year delayed, overdue.
Well, Victor, in the meantime, we're expecting to see a flurry of capital raising initiatives being undertaken by these banks, that are not adequately capitalized. What's your take on the market being able to handle this much?
Well, a flurry of capital raising activities may be not entirely correct. There are a few that would likely go down the route of an M&A deal. That said, it's imperative for some of them. I think what Wema has done is basically try to take the lead. They're not in such a bad position if you look at it from a balance sheet perspective as maybe a few of the other larger ones. But I think whichever way that happens, it all depends on, the other guy said, the valuation, valuation of each of these institutions, and of course, looking at the growth story behind, the new management behind each of these institutions. But we think that there may be, sufficient depth within the market to provide the capital needed to turn the banks around.